welcome to another amazing episode of Uncommon Conversations. I'm your host, Zsa Zsa C. Hubbard. Listen, you already know I have an amazing show, as I do each and every week. This young man that I have on the show today is a Pontiac native, but he's no stranger to the city of Detroit. This young man may have graced your praise and worship team. He may have even supported your local celebrity. And listen, this young man is now a new author as well as a serial entrepreneur. Help me welcome the one and only Jalen Archer. Hey, Jalen.
Hey, Zsa Zsa, how are you?
I am wonderful. Thank you so much for coming on the show with me today.
My pleasure. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be here having an uncommon conversation with my
Now,
favorite.
listen, Jalen, you are no stranger to business. You have been in business since you were really a little kid. I want to go back to the family dynamics and what was it like growing up in Pontiac, Michigan?
Growing up in Pontiac was definitely, well, at the time that I grew up in Pontiac, um, it was very independent. I feel
Okay.
like Pontiac people, Pontiac natives, we're very independent people. We know exactly what we want to do and we plan it out, but we lack the community. Pontiac lacks the community of like getting other people involved, coming together and not fighting and not having violence. So I've been kind of removed from Pontiac a little bit, so I can't speak to the nature of it present, but
Right.
at that time, it was definitely though, like get a business, put back into the business side of our city, if that makes sense. That time we had Art Beats and Eats, the Dream Cruise, like Pontiac was, we had the Silver Dome, we had the Phoenix Center. We even kind of had the Palace of Auburn Hills because our zoning was so close. So we
Yeah.
had attractions that came through and streamlined through Pontiac. So it was very progressive, it was very independent, and it was also a very fun place to be growing up.
Now, speaking of fun place to be growing up, what was it like growing up in your household? You being such a visionary, such a creative. I've known you to take something that looks like absolutely nothing and turn it into something magical, like something from Disney. What was it like growing up and being creative and as a kid, growing up with your brothers and sisters and family and growing up in a single parent household?
Growing up was very it was different. I think I
Okay.
grew up very different for most people who lived with a single parent. My mother, all I knew my mother to do is work. I've never not seen my mother unemployed. I've never not seen my mother working. I've never not seen my mom having 2, 3, 4, 5, and sometimes even 6 jobs, whether that's a coach, a PTA president, a community leader, a school board, this and entrepreneur dad, and working for my church and working for herself and working corporate. So my mom was definitely one of the moms who she kind of raised us with the finer things in life. But we never knew kind of where it came from. It was just kind of something that my mom was always working to. I never went without. When it comes to the dynamics of my siblings, it was very independent. We never were raised together, if that makes sense. Like we all individually had our own course, our own schedule, our own everything. And when we came together, very, very seldomly did we come together. But when we did on, like Thanksgiving or Christmas, when like my family would come in town, it would be a riot. Like we would have so much fun. But day to day, it was kind of every man for himself in our household. And that I can say that kind of attributed to who I am today, being so independent and progressive because I literally had myself growing up.
And you know what? Speaking of having yourself growing up, you have learned to take so many tragic and trauma situations that have happened in your life and turn them into something positive. I want to talk about your new book. I can't even believe that it is just here and it's coming to fruition. Note to self, just adjust. Now, growing up in the city of Pontiac and being raised in a single parent household, did you ever think that you would grow up and be an author?
No. Honestly, I definitely thought that authors were librarians, much so nerdy people, if I may say that. So it was not something that was on I figured I'd have someone write a book for me, but I never thought that I myself would write a book and let alone publish it and be here today.
Now, I want to talk about one of the chapters in the book, and it talks about note to self, my inner self, talking to the obesity Jalen and Fat Jalen. I ain't want to say it, but I'm saying it now. Okay,
Fat Jalen.
Fat Jalen. Now, there are so many people in the world that desire to be physically fit, mentally fit, spiritually fit. Why did you feel it was necessary to speak to that person who you no longer wanted to become?
I think it was very imperative to speak to the person that I was, simply because I think a lot of times we go through life and we don't necessarily understand that we are a person or this specific person at the time that we're going through it. So we make decisions that are off kilter because we're not our normal self. We're not our healthy self. So for me, Fat Jalen, I was very greedy. I was very greedy. Like I just in every area of my life. Like I was greedy with money. I was greedy with food. I was greedy with relationships. I was greedy with my own personal time. I was greedy with my time with God. Like I wasn't hungry. I was greedy.
Okay.
The difference in life is you can always be hungry for something, but when it becomes greed and you have to mind, I want, you don't necessarily need it. So why are you going for it? And I didn't really understand that because you couldn't tell Fat Jalen anything. I've never lacked a confidence, if I will say that. So Fat Jalen didn't think he was fat. He didn't think he was fat. He didn't think anyone could tell him anything. He didn't think he needed to grow in any area. He had it all planned out. But when he couldn't walk up 3 steps without breaking a sweat and having to go change his shirt because he's sweaty, then that's when I realized, like, bro, it might be you. It's not everybody. It very much might so be you. And so that's when I had to take a step back and say, you are fat and unhealthy and fix it.
Yeah. Now, speaking of fixing it, what are some of the things that you also talk about in the book when it relates to making those adjustments? Because, life is all about making those adjustments. And some people, they do well with those adjustments and some people don't. Tell me, what are some of the other adjustments that people look forward to reading about in your book?
Absolutely. I would say, well, I kind of got to give you the backstory of Just Adjust and where it kind of came from really quickly. It was a term that I coined for myself. A lot of times being always put on the back burner or forgotten about or what have we, I always had to be the bigger person in my life. I always had to understand why things happen the way they happen and why it had to happen for me. And so one thing that I think really stands out for me is talking about growing up in a single parent household, as well as I have a chapter talking about my father and the absence that he played in my life. Simply because you tell kids all the time, just adjust, you'll get over it. It's his loss or it's his loss and you're not missing nothing. Your father not being in the picture has nothing to do with you, but it has everything to do with me because I'm his kid. I'm his child.
Right.
How do you tell someone don't worry about something because it has nothing to do with you? But my sister has a father. My little brother has a father. Why don't I have a father? It's kind of one of those things where you just kind of roll with the punch. So instead of just saying roll with the punches, I just kind of said just adjust, Jay. Like you just got to adjust because if you make the adjustment, then nobody will ever know that I thought at the time. No one would ever know that you even dealt with it or are going through it to the magnitude. Yeah. So I talk about not having a father. I talk about being in a single parent home. I talk about being a middle child and how important it is to create identity within your children and in your family, because oftentimes you end up becoming such and so's nephew or such and such's sister or such and such's brother or such and such son or such and such's grandchild. But never am I able to walk into a room and I'm just Jalen. You're just Jalen. You are Jalen. We learned you. We met you through this particular moment. It's always, you're Deborah's son or you're Antoine's older brother or you're Jeanette's little brother. Yeah. It's never, those types of greetings. So losing identity, I talk about hygiene. You never know when you gotta,
yeah,
you're not 40 anymore. You're not 70.
But you know what, Jalen, it's so amazing that you brought up the fact of identifying you with someone else. And when I first met you, When I first initially met you, you were working with some amazing individuals that are national celebrities. You were working with some also amazing event planners that do things on a national scale. How was it a challenge, or was it difficult for you to separate yourself from being under their brands for so long and now stepping up to the forefront and having your own brand?
Absolutely. In a world where social media is everything, oftentimes you are introduced to someone. Very seldom are we in school or at meetings where I'm able to introduce myself for myself. Sometimes it's, oh, my assistant will reach out, or my stylist, or whatever title I'm wearing or whatever hat I'm wearing that day. I'm always prefaced as something to someone. So the story is the same, oh, you're a professional, you're dope, you're amazing, but I met you through this person. So now people treat you via good or bad, depending on their relationship with that person. And so sometimes I get a very disingenuousness from a person first versus a caring, a caring
relationship or introductory.
It's never organic.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
never organic at first. It's always, well, this person, so you know this celebrity. Do you know this celebrity? Because I'm trying to work on this, and then you get all of that in between. So it's like, you know what? It's no fun. It's no fun to meet people because you think you're going to get close to me so you can get invited to this person's house, or you think you want to get close to me so you can get a discount on this party, or so forth. It's very difficult. I'm always adjusting when it comes to the public, because when you become a public eye or a public figure, people always want to know what they can bring to the public about you, versus just supporting you with who you are to the public.
Yeah. And you know what, Jalen, what I love is, your 16 years of experience in public relations and customer service and media relations. When you combine all of those years of experience, what do you want to encourage other young people that are coming up behind you, looking to start their brands and looking to start their businesses? What advice would you give to those young people that are coming from Pontiac and coming from Detroit that want to tap into those industries?
Absolutely. I would say never, ever exclude yourself from any area or any facet in your life, because you can become a brand, but that doesn't mean that brand is the only thing that you do. I feel like, as an example, if you're a hairstylist, you never want to, you are still a person versus, oh, you're the girl who do hair. No, she or he is such and such who just so happens to do hair. And I think oftentimes we want to start the business, we want to get to the red carpets, we want to get to the interviews, that we forget our appearance, we forget our mentality, we forget our relationships, and we stump and step on toes that were never even intended to be stepped on. We miscommunicate words that were never meant to be misconstrued. It's so many different things that play a part. So my advice will never exclude yourself. Always be ready to learn. Always be your hardest and your most loving critic, person, mentor. Give your all to yourself, because inadvertently, if I give to myself, what flows out will be myself. If I fill myself up with myself and encouragement and love and responsibility and integrity and character, you're going to get those things right back, because that's what I practice. So and that's another thing, practicing what you preach. It's not going to be fun every single day you wake up. It's not going to be fun every meeting. Some meetings will be tough. Some disappointments will be hard. But there are also some sweatless days where it's like, I didn't even sweat that because it was so great. It was so fun. But never, ever stop evolving. No, you will never arrive. You will never arrive, young person. You will never arrive.
Yes. And you know what? Speaking of arriving, you're a multiple business owner. You have the JALEN brand, and then you have the JALEN brand group. Now, tell me about the differences between the two, because one is brand management. You have helped me on numerous occasions, from helping with Cast Tech teachers, appreciation, to wedding clients, to helping me with photography, and so many other local and national artists and celebrities. Tell me what's the differences between the two businesses.
So the Jalen brand, I would say, the Jalen brand is me. It is my social part of my company, my personality. The Jalen brand group is the service that I provide to the public. So the Jalen brand group handles brand management, PR and consulting, marketing. It handles assistant, day-to-day coordination, event coordination, and things of that nature. The Jalen brand, I'm your guy. I'm going to talk. I'm going to encourage. I'm going to help uplift. I'm going to party. I'm going to, show up. I'm going to do whatever needs to be done to make your experience with me personally and socially just as important and as impactful as you get me professionally.
Absolutely. And speaking of impact, we all have had some true challenges and some tumultuous changes this last year dealing with COVID-19 and the pandemic. Jalen, how has the pandemic affected you personally and your businesses?
Personally, the pandemic, well, I'm a different person in the pandemic, but the pandemic helped me so much because it allowed me to take a step back from one of the busiest moments in my life. I was opening a venue. I was opening another brand, rebranding, helping clients, traveling in and out, doing this, doing that, in the middle of planning a wedding, in the middle of calling off a wedding, in the middle of still being a full-time minister, a full-time servant leader, as well as a public figure, as well as a personal figure. So I was doing so much like pre the pandemic, that's a tongue twister, pre the pandemic, that I forgot about myself. I forgot about what I was doing. I didn't have no direction. I wasn't listening to God. I wasn't talking to God. I was just so busy just trying to do it. So when the pandemic happened, it was like, sit your little hips down and figure out who you are and what you're made of. And I was able to put myself on the operation table and take things that I didn't like out, put things in. I can kind of gain this. I have 21 days. We all have more than 21 days. It takes 21 days to create a habit. I was, 21 days, you're going to drink a liter of water. You're going to stop cussing. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. I was able to really refine myself and use my own personal services for my own personal brand. So I professionally put myself through a rebranding and a remarketing process. And that's honestly how the pandemic helped me. It allowed me to reset. It was a master reset. I assessed every area of my life and ultimately came out a completely different person from the pandemic.
And you know what? Speaking of coming out a new person, during this time, we've had to learn to survive. And every time I have a guest on my show, I like to play a little game, Jalen. Are you down to play?
I'm ready to play.
Okay.
My exes. I'm just
okay. So every time I have a guest on the show, we play this game. It's called the Survival Kit. Okay. So I name you 3 items. You get to use one, you lose one, and then you give one away. Okay? Use one, lose one, and give one away. We're going to go for the first round, okay? First round. Breath mints, a laptop, dress shoes. Use one, lose one, give one away. Breath mints, laptop, dress shoes.
Dress shoes I'm giving away. Because I don't wear dress shoes. What was the other 2? Breath mints?
Breath mints and laptop. You're going to give one away and you're going to use one. Lose
breath
one.
mints I'm using because everyone's breath does stink at some point. And a laptop I'm going to use because my brand functions off of a laptop.
Okay. Now we talking about survival kits.
No, I used twice.
Second round.
Okay.
Jacket, nail clipper, chapstick. A jacket, a nail clipper, chapstick. Use one, lose one, give one away.
I'm going to use the chapstick because if my lips is chapped, you're not going to hear what I got to say. Lose the jacket.
Okay.
Because I sweat a lot.
Okay.
And give one away.
You going to give away the nail clipper?
Yeah.
Okay. Last round. Last round. Use one, lose one, give one away. Barbecue Better Made chips, a radio, or a camera. Better Made Chips Barbecue, a radio, and a camera. Use one, lose one, and give one away.
I'm going to use the chips.
Okay.
Always hungry.
Hey, listen, you got to eat.
I'm going to lose
The radio, camera.
I'm going to lose the radio.
Okay. And you gonna give away the camera?
I'm going to give away the camera so you can take a picture and record it.
All right, well, thank you for playing the survival kit game with me, Jalen. Listen, I want to go into my next question, and that is, what is it that you want to leave for the legacy behind? You know, we have our ancestors that come from behind us, and they have left so many things for us. What do you want the Jalen Archer brand to represent when you are long gone from here?
Honestly, that is a really great question. I would love to leave the legacy of a kind heart.
Amen.
I think in a world full of negative and whatever we're doing, I think what keeps me different and set apart is my heart. A stranger can walk up to me and say, you know, your heart, you have a good heart. I can tell you have a good heart. I can tell you have a kind heart. I want that to be, that's my legacy. My legacy is no matter what situation you've seen me in, no matter what adversity you've seen me face, I always kept my heart in check, because heart issues are the fall of a lot of people. But as long as I keep my heart intact, I feel like I'm going to be good. I know I'm going to be good. So I would love to leave a kind heart, my imprint on the whole entire world, that you know that Jalen loves you, Jalen cares about you, and I'm always looking at ways to help better you with my heart.
And you know what, Jalen, that is so sincere, because I know that you mean it, because I've seen you help people that have done you bold, and you have still helped them in spite of. And I definitely want to commend you for that, Jalen, because as a man of your word and as a man of God, I have seen you love on people wholeheartedly. And I just know that God is going to bless you and your business because of your obedience. Now, speaking of your obedience, why is it so important to have a relationship with God? You talk about God unapologetically all the time. Why is that so necessary for people to have a relationship with God as they develop in business, as entrepreneurs, just anything in life?
Absolutely. I think it's so important simply because God is not man. God is not a man, meaning men and women are going to disappoint you. They're going to lead you wrong. They're going to give you the wrong advice. They'll tell you good things. It just is negative and it's positive. But God is never going to leave you. He's never going to forsake you. He's never going to tell you something that's detrimental to you. He's going to guide you. He's going to protect you. So it's really like walking through life with an extreme cheat code, because I can see you as a person. I can see you as a spirit. And when I decipher and God tells me, depending on whatever relationship, that's the second part. But I have that. I'm always the obvious choice. I'm always above and never beneath. I'm always the lender and not the borrower, because I have God in my life. And the second part to that, when I'm saying having that, God gives vision. I can spend one day with God and get 40,000 different things from that one day with him. So every day is better and sweeter than the day before. And I know it sounds so cliche to my people who have a relationship with God, but it's so true. It's so true simply because when I feel like I'm done, God adds super to my natural. And then I can have a supernatural meeting, a supernatural intersection, and it just goes on and on and on and on. So it's so important because you need someone else other than people that you see every day who has God's track record is impeccable, meaning he has never lost anything that he's ever faced. So why not? That's the best business partner. Your business partner can tell you what clients to take and what clients not to take, and then in relationships, who to get in touch with and who not to get in touch with. He is just God. It's just God. And that's what I love about him, because he's himself so much, and he's himself enough for me, and he's himself enough for you.
And that is so true. And I'm so grateful because as entrepreneurs, you want to be around people who also share the same faith so they can pray for you in the time, when your back is up against a wall. And I know there have been plenty of times, Jalen, you and I have stayed up on the midnight hour, okay, praying for one another as we go through this journey called life. And I just want to let the viewers know that you have some amazing events coming up. You have some amazing brands and partnerships coming up. Let my viewers know how they can get in contact with you, as well as what do you have coming up for them to be a part of?
Absolutely. You can get in touch with me by simply going to our website, thejalenbrand.com. From there are various landing pages and opportunities for you to connect, book a service, or see a service. Great events. This Sunday, from April 18th, I'm hosting a small business Sunday in downtown Detroit. And I have various entrepreneurs, vendors that are going to be there. I'm also working on a great, big, gigantic, the JALEN brand launch. I'm going to launch products that I have. I'm going to launch services that I have been working on, and just kind of let you guys know who I am in this whole rebranding and everything that's going on. And then I also have the Brand U with Jalen. So the Brand U is a brand management, a brand development university that I'm going to put an 8-week course. You'll learn everything you need to know, from starting your business and registering all the way down to business credit and gaining capital to promote your business and your brand to the next level. So that is coming up in May. It's an 8-week course, and I'm going to streamline you through this second quarter so that you can go to the third quarter and start your summer fall with the biggest bang in the most professional way than you can ever imagine.
That is wonderful. I can't wait because I'll be in the building. And before we get out of here, Jalen, I want to let my viewers know, listen, note to self, just adjust. 11 real life lessons on making self adjustments by Jalen Archer is in stores right now. You can get it Barnes & Noble. You can order it online. I have my autographed signed copy, and I want you to make sure that you go get yours too. We're going to sell out Jalen's books, and we're going to make sure that we make him the #1 seller across the board. Okay, listen, I want to thank you, Jalen, for coming on the show with me today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me, man. This is huge and this is amazing. And I'm so grateful and honestly so proud of you and where Uncommon Conversations are going.
Listen, now that was the power of a conversation. Listen, until next week, I will see you later. Listen, I hope you enjoyed the show. I want to hear from you. Listen, check me out. Write to me at P.O. Box 27866, Detroit, Michigan 48227. Listen, if you don't want to write to me, slide in my DMs. Follow me at UCCTV313, or you can follow me at Zsa Zsa C. Hubbard on all social media platforms. And listen, if that's not enough, check us out on the web, www.ucctv313.com, or you can check me out at my website at www.zsachhubbard.com. Until next week, I'll see you again. Peace.